Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am here with my friend Jill Rush from Relocation Today. Jill, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It is so wonderful to have you. I was just talking backstage. I've known you longer than I've known just about anybody in relocation. You
That's
were one of my first client partners, long time, many companies ago. I don't even know what you must have thought of me back then, but I don't even want to ask.
I remember meeting you at ERC on your first ERC outing, and you were just so excited to be there, just bouncing up and down, like a little boy.
I was.
Look where I am.
All a titter. I was like, I can't believe I'm here at this party and it's free and all the drinks are free and all the food is free and all the people are cool. And like, look at this. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Yeah, that's one of the things that really hooked me, honestly, the conferences. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is my job to go to these things and meet cool people. Oh my gosh. I think we took a picture in a photo booth.
Yeah, we did. You're right. And I bet it's in my office still.
At like the Oakwood party or something back in the day.
Yep, you're right. I can picture it now with a boa and, the usual.
I think there was a Cinco de Mayo. I think we were at a Cinco de Mayo. Was this in San Antonio? Oh my gosh.
Yep, it was in San Antonio. I know that.
I remember that photo. I was like, who did I take that picture with? And now it just, boom, came back. Jill, look at that.
Picture it.
Oh my gosh. Thank God.
I know there's some other people out there that probably have photos of me in a photo booth too. It tends to be...
It's just you, Jill.
In those conference nights.
Rush? Did anybody check the photo booth?
There you go.
This is great. Let us know where you are out there. If you're watching us right now, thank you so much for being here. Hit that like button. Send a little love out to Jill. Jill, where in the world are you right now?
I'm in Phoenix in my home office. I'm now permanently remote in Phoenix. I moved here a year ago from Minneapolis. So it's
wow.
been fun. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Talk about like a climate shock. Minneapolis to Phoenix.
Seriously, especially in the summer. I think what I
probably got to get all new thermometers moving down to Phoenix. Like they don't even.
You have to replace them regularly. They blow up. Mm-hmm.
That's wild. That's so cool. Hey, you're watching this right now. Thank you so much. Let us know, all the people in the audience, where in the world you are. Give your company a shout out. Let me know who you are, where you are, what you're up to today. We got people checking in. Jill has prepared some of the coolest tips and tricks and ideas for us when looking to, kind of give that white glove service to looking at how do we manage budgeted moves and relocations. I mean, she's got so many tips and tricks from being in this industry for a while, and she's amassed all the great insights and brought them to us today. This is really cool. I can't wait. Alan King checking in from Germany. Looking forward to a great show. Awesome, Alan. Shannon Edmonston hello, my friends. Jill, your hair looks fabulous.
Oh, thanks. You too.
That's great, Shannon. I miss you. Faye, good afternoon. Jill and Ben, so excited for today. Jill, you are so tan.
It's that Phoenix thing.
I feel like you could get tan inside your house in Phoenix.
I think you have to because nobody goes outside in the summer.
Jill and Ben, Stacy checking in. That's great. Jimmy Brooks, what's up, Brooksy? Look at that. Loving the conferences. Jana, so excited to see this happening and bringing this great connection. Janaina from Rio in the house. Mm-hmm. Look at that. Beats is in the house from Chicago. Love the outfit. Awesome. We definitely have you have the yellow thing going. I got the purple vibe going. Loving reload colors.
Yeah, it's our Relocation Today color, the purple. Thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah, no problem. I got you. Mike Filia, great to see and hear you, Jill, sporting that Arizona tan football mom. That's right.
Yeah, Mike and I used to connect a lot. Well, Mike and I used to connect a lot. He coached football. My husband coached football. And, when the kids were coming up and who had a state champion and who didn't, we used to have a lot of fun with that. I have to say my kids have not gone near as far as Mike's from a sporting standpoint. No Olympians.
Yeah, I saw a post. Is Mike's kid in the Olympics?
It is. Yeah, his son in baseball. Mm-hmm.
Mike, that is so impressive, Mike. Shout out to you, Mike. When's your kid? Put it in the comments there. When's your son going to be playing ball? I'd love to know when I go watch. That's awesome. Erica Burton, hello. Jen, Jill, and Ben from Ohio, OHIO. Looking great, Jill from Brittany Harrington. What's up, Brittany? Farrell, love the hat, Ben. Hello from California. Looking forward to the conversation. This is great. Jim's here. Minneapolis is in the house. Charles Beatty from Allen. Charles, when are we going to get together? I'm in Allen. You're in Allen. What's up? I feel like you're ducking me, man. What's going on? I'm just kidding. Michael Cadden, Living Abroad, LLC. Quigley's in the house. Ace Relo, Silicon Valley. Look at this. This is wonderful. It's great in Chicago. I'm loving this. We've got a household goods driver, Stephen Meyer, in the house here in Dayton, Ohio. Stephen, what's it like there on the road? Let us know. Mickey, nice hat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. What are you seeing from a moving standpoint right now, Jill? I'm just going to ask you. I mean, we got a driver here. What has this summer been like?
Oh my gosh, we are so thankful for those drivers. There's not enough of you, and we know you're being put through the ringer. Right. And we honestly, we obviously can't do our job without you all. But I can only imagine what it is like out there at someone's home, and all the stress they're under and the stress you're under, and being short crews in some cases, now finding shortages in packing materials. I know it must just be a tough summer, a tough day at the office for you as you get out there.
Yeah. Really, thank you for your service, Stephen. We couldn't move these folks without you. Chrissy's checking in. Look at this. People are shouting out Michigan here.
Yeah. Stacy and my connection there. Let's go blue.
Yeah, look at this. Devon Burke here. Look at this. Darlene's in the house. William Taylor in the house. That's awesome. Vinny Valverde checking in from Smoky Port. Are you got fires again, Vinny?
So sad. So sad.
Oh my goodness. Look at this. Ruby from San Diego, Valerie. This is great. Hit that like button right now. We're going to get into it a little bit here. Jill, I'm so excited to have you here. You've got some really practical stuff for us. What should we get into first? Should we talk about budget and cap moves, or should we talk about Whiteglove Service? Where do you want to go?
Let's talk about budgets and budget caps.
Do you see budget and cap moves happening more and more? Is it for a certain population, a certain type of a client type? Where are you let's describe the opportunity first.
Yeah, well, if I could start by letting people who don't know Relocation Today, we are considered a smaller size relocation company. We are global, 100%. We have been in business for 28 years. We are owned by Berger Allied Van Lines. But with that said, we seem to cater to companies who are moving, probably less than 100 moves a year. We do have clients that move many, many more, but we also have some that move a lot less. It's not uncommon to have a client moving 10 or 20 people a year. And I point that out because we're not dealing with global mobility departments. We're dealing with a recruiting manager or an HR generalist who has a lot of other things going on. And for that reason, the company may not have the budget set aside to really handle relocation in the true traditional sense. So we have seen budget capped moves for decades. In 2007-ish, they really became prevalent when the economy had gone down. We were in the recession, and we had such a call for finance wanting to accrue a very set number. So these budget caps became more and more prevalent, and they never went away. And we are seeing them continue to grow. They're there. They're there to stay in our world, and we see them from very small numbers to big numbers.
It does feel like every time that there's a little economic kind of dip or downturn, the cost cutting, right? And we put budgets and we put caps and we make lump sums and you see a growth in this kind of cost containment stuff. And then you have boom times, but it doesn't really seem to go away. It doesn't seem like they changed the policies. Do you think that's accurate, or have you seen clients who have gone from having cap moves and budgeted stuff and then kind of expanded and said, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to go to a full managed relo with different types of policies?
When we first started, bringing some clients that hadn't been doing budget caps into some budget cap worlds and policies as a temporary fix to an economic problem, all intentions were to bring them back to a full managed concept, because everyone thought is that the employee experience is going to suffer if they have to have a cap that they have to watch. It's hard enough to watch your own household budget, but when now you're tasked with watching a budget because your company asked you to move somewhere, that can start it off on really a negative foot. But the way that things have come out and been structured, and the flexibility that the budget caps have actually given, have made them really positive. And so they haven't brought them back out. And honestly, the partners in finance just love that budget cap accrual so much, and love to be thought of as part of the process that they make it hard to make it go away.
Yeah. Once you understand, like once you have a certainty around what a reload is going to cost, and from a budgeting standpoint, that number kind of gets hard coded into the calculus. It's hard to go backwards. I feel like, that's interesting. I want to hear your thoughts on what you're seeing here. We've got some people checking in with us here who are also saying that they've seen them as well. We got the UK here. Gabriel checking in from Arizona, where it's hot. Jeff Nadeau says, budget caps need to be realistic. We many times work with real companies who have caps, but the cap only allows a small amount. So these clients end up upset with the mover, even though the mover does a good job.
Yeah, we that is one of the drawbacks to caps, is we get employees and transferees, assignees who want to, they want to cut corners because they want to save their money to cover their home sale expenses or something else. And that's the biggest risk of all, is with a budget cap. We really try to let the transferee know that their budget cap was set with the understanding they would be using the preferred providers that the company has in place, and that they would be utilizing the packing for the protection of their belongings. And if they don't want to go that route and they're trying to find, Joe's moving service, down the street to cut corners, that their budget may be reduced in that case. So that can help. But it is a challenge. We have some companies in some of the retail space, restaurant groups that are, we're looking at less than $5,000, and it's impossible in today's world to move the way you should move with that kind of money. And we do end up trying to piecemeal things together. We're so thankful we have providers that research labor and provide that labor pool along with the rental truck or the containers. The van line moves, we're trying to work something in when we can with those, but it's all about setting the proper expectations. I agree completely, Jeff. You don't want it to fall on the movers.
So what are some ideas for folks out there who are trying to work within these budgets? What are some of the strategies? You kind of alluded to some, but maybe we can go into a little bit more detail around what can people do to really make these moves fit within a budget? Yeah.
So when we have these budget caps, we're actually recommending policies that are pretty robust and full. I mean, it can't be ludicrous that you're offering them home sale costs with a $5,000 budget, but you can offer the option of a self move. And if they want to, knowing that a van line move will be more expensive, we can still coordinate for you and bill you personally for any extras. But let's talk through your logistics and see which way it's going to work best for you. But having a lot of options in place, temporary housing, trips home, they can really hone in on what they most need. We like to say it's an a la carte menu. And just like at a restaurant, when you're really hungry, you want to order everything, but you don't. You end up getting what you need. And if you're lucky, you have dessert at the end, and sometimes you just don't have room for it. And that's really how these relocation policies with these budget caps work the best. And it allows so much flexibility because you no longer have to say you get 30 days of temporary housing, you get one trip home, because that little budget cap has already contained all the costs you need. So you don't have to have the little policing parameters all the way through. And by just upfront letting the employee know you're in the driver's seat, you get to choose from all these things what works best for you with your very little budget. So that's how we set it up.
Yeah. And I remember, because on the moving side, you get this all the time, because a lot of times you deal with clients who don't even have a real relocation program per se. They'll just go to a moving company and that's maybe all they do. And then they put a cap around the move. And one of the things that we used to do, and again, I don't advocate for caps. I understand why they exist. And so you work within the constraints that you have. But one of the things we used to do is we used to say, you could potentially eliminate the packing. right? You can eliminate the packing. So then you still get loading. You know, the line haul is comprised of loading and transportation and unloading. So you still get those elements, but then the person can do a self-pack. That's one thing. Storage and transit, you know, you can eliminate storage.
Eliminate storage as much as possible. Sorry, movers and moving companies, but
I know
that's the number one way to keep costs down for your household goods move.
Hate to do it, but that happens. You can also look at limiting the third-party services, you know, how you create TVs and things like that. I mean, that can really add up in a hurry, and people can do some of that on their own. So those are a few items I would say, probably the storage, the crating, and the packing that you can shave off if you want to still have a professional move, but you want to keep it kind of on a budget.
And you can almost always get a very reasonable partial pack, a custom pack of the kitchen, the breakables, the things that are going to take you the longest personally to take care of. And you can almost always work something like that in. The third party is big, especially right now with the cost of crating. You know, it's just, you know, using a TV box, you know, that they came in versus a crate. There are ways to keep that cost down, but you also have to be open to looking at those self-move providers and the containers that are out there, and getting your goods sometimes more quickly, especially if it's a small move, you know, and taking care of it that way.
You know, that's a great point. And, you know, you talk about containers, and I see my friend Jose Botley here as well. You know, he does, you know, you can do small moves also through some of these international forwarders who are still packing and loading it, but because they're containerizing it and they can store that container at destination, eliminating the handling charges going into the warehouse. So I know that's something that Jose and his team do, and as well as my, you know, previous employers like Pods and Pack Rat, you know, I've done that as well. So
such a great solution. You know, when I moved last year, it was during COVID, of course, and you couldn't donate anything. You know, Goodwill was closed, the VA vets weren't picking up, and we were really at a loss because we wanted to get rid of some things. We were downsizing, and we were really stuck with moving more things than we really needed or wanted. And we also had the issue of not knowing the home we would be moving into. So we didn't know how much space we had and how many bedrooms there would be. But still, even with moving things we wish we would have gotten rid of, there were so many more things that would have been so much more cost effective to sell on the other end, get rid of, and just purchase new. And we see that globally too. When you're doing a capped perm assignment going global, a lot of times it's much cheaper to have the company just say, can we use a furniture allowance and skip the household goods move?
Yeah, I would love to ask everybody, you know, what are your tips for shaving money off for budgeted moves? I mean, budget moves and caps are a part of a lot of policies out there. We don't always love them, but they are a reality. And if we're going to, you know, thrive in this environment, you know, we have to know how to deal with them. So I'd love to hear your strategies out there, whether you're in corporate housing or you're a mover or maybe you're in real estate. You know, what are some of the things that you would advocate for as far as cost saving strategies?
Yeah. And while you're doing that, I'd like to not make as many enemies in the household goods space to let you know that our first recommendation, even with a budget, is to try to do a core flex, get those household goods moved outside of a budget and use the budget for, you know, other things, you know, but get your stuff and your family to the new location as a core benefit is always a preference. You know, that's our first stab at it.
Yeah, definitely.
We're on your side. We're trying to use you as much as possible.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, totally. Brittany says, Relocation Today has such an awesome team of fearless leaders. Look at that. And then nice Cheryl checking in from Minneapolis.
Yay, Cheryl.
Okay, Carrie. Hello, Jill. So great to see you.
You too.
Beautiful. It's great meeting Carrie here in NTRP. Jamie Massler checking in. Brittany Harrington says, planning, last minute changes or moves tend to pay premiums and have limited options because you're stuck with what's left. Interesting.
Yeah, thanks for that, Brittany. We've had some flyers created that we sent out a few months ago, just letting all of our clients, recruiting, HR, ask them to pass them out to their field hiring managers, that you have to plan at least 6 weeks ahead this summer and possibly more whenever possible. Letting them know that if they're interviewing a candidate or making an offer, to make sure they stop and not reach out to any vendors prior to talking to us. Don't give a lease break notice. Don't set a closing date until you know that we can get you out, because if you've done that and you think you've just been so helpful, it's probably going to backfire. And when you call us today and say, I gave my notice, I have to be out on the 20th, it's probably going to be much more stressful than had you waited and just paid that extra month's rent that probably could have been panned out in the Relo program.
Yeah. And those missteps can be costly as well. You brought up one thing here before, Jill, as far as selling stuff. I look at, my father and stepmother just moved in Tulsa, and they were able to sell so much of their furniture on Facebook Marketplace. They had this really big home, and they had been in it forever. And my stepmom, she collected all this really amazing furniture, these really big pieces, just gorgeous pieces. But I mean, she was not fitting that into a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And they went through and they flipped a lot of furniture for several $1,000s. And so you can actually lower your bill for your move and turn
and
a
make
profit.
Money. Yeah, that was my best way.
Yeah. Do you see that being a service that maybe RMCs or even moving companies could get into to help their customers?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Honestly, that's one of those innovative, creative thinking spots where we'd have to have our own portal and figure that all out. But honestly, Facebook Marketplace was the one place last year during COVID that I had great success in selling furniture in particular, because you could have no contact. They Venmo'd you the money. You didn't have to exchange hands. They meet you in the driveway, 6 to 20 feet apart, check out the item. We'd already have it out there. And that worked fabulously. So it is good.
Yeah, it feels like we're already sending salespeople into the home to do surveys to basically count furniture items. Sometimes they're taking pictures of those odd items anyway. It's like that would be an amazing time to go through and actually take photos of pieces that were saleable and actually post those on the customer's behalf, almost like consignment. And then
now if you do like a consignment.
Yeah, and do like a 20-30% whatever sales commission on it. And I mean, I just see an opportunity there, because so many people tell us, as in the moving company, gosh, I'd rather throw it out than move it. Forget, I'm not moving any of this stuff. This stuff is junk or whatever. I got it at IKEA and I don't really feel like I'm not attached to it. There's only a few pieces. Exactly. And the file a claim. Aaron says, yep, was going to say Facebook Marketplace, another good option. Even if you can't sell it, if it's not high value, just give it away. So many people come get stuff you're giving away for free. Super interesting. Richard Majewski, if the gig economy is growing where millennials move around with families more frequently, is this changing Relo trends? Smaller moves, but more frequent.
We have absolutely seen the trend towards smaller moves. Absolutely. That's already been happening. And that's created part of the challenge. You get these 3,500 pound, 2,000 pound moves, even in some cases, where it could fit in a shopping cart maybe, but they want a van line move and they want their stuff in 5 to 7 days. And that causes the most stress of all, is finding that right solution. And we know so many van lines have great container options. They might go by rail, but those are really helping. And yes, we are seeing that for sure.
Stacy's shouting out Jeff Heisler's discard and donate programs. Perfect for that.
Yes,
very cool.
Jeff.
Look at that. Everybody's shouting out. Look at Jeff. Jeff's going to start cutting commission.
Yeah, on that point, I think a lot of people think about that in terms of your stuff, not your furniture. But it's really valid to really hype up the fact that it's not just about getting rid of 10 sweaters and 3 boxes of paper, but it's more about the whole household.
Yeah, there's a lot there here. Sarah Ben Cross coming through with the new business venture. Hit up Jeff at Sweet Home and get it started. It can take a lot of stress off the employee. This is great. Celeste, and I moved from Chicago to Boulder on a CAP move with spouse's employer. Being in the business helped, but choosing what was most important to us: full household goods services versus storage, extended temp housing, or trips home worked for us. Super interesting. Randy Johnson. Hi, Jill from Minneapolis. Loving your beautiful tan and the opportunity to dive into this deep on this topic. This is great. And we're about to take it the other direction as well. Vinny says, shaving money, not too realistic as the overall cost of the relocation is going up. I would recommend focusing on the customer experience instead of the cost. Once you know the how and why providing relocation service, you can then find a happy medium and provide a reasonable budget. Also set the right expectation with the employee on the budget amount.
Yeah. We have had to really talk to our clients about their budgets because costs are going up so much and so quickly. It's been a constant discussion, and our clients that have budget caps the vast majority have been very open to raising them, at least temporarily or on a case-by-case basis. Because you're exactly right. You can't lower your budgets right now. You have to increase them. You could still use a budget cap. Everybody's got a different place in how their company's doing in the economy. But shaving money, no, you don't lower those budgets. Can't happen.
No,
right
yeah,
now.
definitely. Yeah, it's funny because some people, it's funny, not funny is probably the wrong word, but yeah, it feels like there's cost containment going on, but yeah, the price of moving and temp housing and everything is going up, and yet, so it's really a tough time. Vinny, this is a great segue into the second half of our show. This is really a tale of two programs here, where you have on the one hand we're talking about cost containment, but let's flip this into a much more exciting conversation about creating some really wow employee experiences through adding white glove touches. And I'm really excited about this. So Jill, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask our audience out there, because I know we have a lot of really smart people. We got a ton of people on LinkedIn. That's awesome. Yes. Hit that like button. If you're watching this right now, I'd love to know from you, what white glove touches can we add to create a wow employee experience when relocating? Jill's got a great list for us here. Jill, what do you think?
Well, first of all, these white glove services, concierge services have been my passion for many years, just really trying to get it off the ground to make sure it's something that can be included in every relocation, whether it's a $2,500 tiny cap move, or you've got your executives who have no budget and can get everything covered that they need. Adding something from the company or something from us that really shows we care, I think is so important. In this age of employee experience, it makes all the difference in the world, and it can be so minor.
Are you saying that there's actually an opportunity to add service even though sometimes you're in a cap scenario?
Absolutely. So when we talk about white glove services with our clients, we're starting by saying, if you would like to differentiate yourself as a company and get away from the whole cookie cutter template of benefits, what can we add into the program that would be in addition to any budget? It would be something the company's doing for the employee in addition to the move itself to really increase the experience for the employee during this relocation process. Secondly, it could be something, if Relocation Today is gaining a good referral fee, it's something Relocation Today might offer for employees. When we do gain a referral fee, these are things that we could add. And then lastly, if they don't want to build in a white glove experience, in addition to a budget cap, is there something we can just put out there that the employee is able to use their budget on that might not be considered one of the normal, regular, standard relocation benefits? So those are the things that we look at.
I love it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these. What should we think about?
Yeah. Okay. So you have your basic ones that have been around for some time. There's a welcome basket, and I'm not downplaying this temp living people. We are so appreciative when you put together a basket, especially when it can be customized to the city they're moving into. That really takes it to the extra place. So if you can put that Chicago basket together with, a walking map of the Windy City and, the nuts on Clark nuts, and just making sure they're all Chicago related things, that can really go a long way welcoming them to the city. So
do you also have clients that specify what's in the basket by client? Because I had some that were specific to what kind of fruit goes in the basket, for instance.
Yep, and we have some clients, for instance, some retail-based clients that they have a brand, and so they want all things of their brand in the basket. Things that are going to be for the company they work for, and that, of course, is super important to manage. You don't want their competitors' products necessarily in your basket. Some don't want alcohol. Keep away from the wine and that sort of thing. We can definitely do that. And others ask us to say, can you make it more kid-centric or pet-centric, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I love it.
So the baskets are there, definite baskets. And right up there with that is stocking the refrigerator. So when you're going to be arriving, it doesn't have to be a surprise. You could give the transferee assignee their grocery list, ask them for their input. What would you like to see there? So it's ready for you. And especially if they're going directly into quarantine, that dropping delivery right there. So it's ready for them upon their arrival if they're going to be stuck inside, it's super important that you got what they wanted, what they would use, rather than, you know, $3 of crackers and a thing of pasta.
Does it, you know, all right. So so I love this idea, but I'm also thinking from a service provider standpoint, is it hard to source this? And maybe this is a question maybe for the folks in the audience here. You know, all these touches are awesome. I mean, and with all the personalization though, it becomes more challenging in how to actually source this and provide this. At what point, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Jill?
Well, our temporary housing providers, and we have, you know, we work with many companies, they're awesome at being willing to do the grocery stocking, you know, or the refrigerator stocking. That's been pretty easy to get from our side, just ordering it and saying, great, I don't know what they're seeing on the other end and how hard it is to actually carry it out, as I know you don't have boots on the ground in every single city. So that can make it more challenging, I'm certain. The baskets, you know, they've also been very helpful. A lot of temporary housing companies will do a great basket, but some of our people don't go into temporary housing, and they still, the company still wants that basket concept, in which case, you know, we have a concierge department that we have. You know, we're keeping an ongoing list of vendors that we've utilized in different metro markets. We're starting to make sure we have those in our system and rank, you know, how is their service, how is their timeliness, how is their price. So there are some that are, you know, will do those custom baskets for certain regions that you can order as well.
I love it. What is, if you're watching right now, I want to know, what is one thing that you do that sets that little extra that sets your company apart, that adds that wow factor?
Yeah. And while you're all adding that in, my favorite services are a little bit different than that. The first one being is the auto detail. You know, you've got someone who just had their auto transported and it might get hosed off, you know, and they try to make sure it's not filthy when it arrives, but it certainly might need a little care. Or if they've driven across country and you've got 1,000 crickets and cicadas on your windshield and in your grill, but having an auto mobile detailing service come out to their home or to their office and get that car detailed for them, that has been hugely successful and really, truly appreciated. And I think I've paid on average around the country $100 to $150 per auto. So that is so reasonable to say, wow, the company really cared for me and took care of this. And it wasn't even inconvenient. They were right at my house at the scheduled time I asked them to come. And the people are sending pictures of their cars to say, look, I can't believe how good it turned out. And they're just super appreciative of that. Window washing is another one. You know, you get into your new house and it might be clean and great condition, and you don't have to do much more than a wipe down of the inside of the cupboards, but chances are the windows weren't recently washed. And so that's something that can make them look out and enjoy their new yard clearly, that sort of thing.
Window washing on the way in, for sure. And I know because I've moved a lot and I've moved out of rentals a lot. You know, you get all your stuff out of the house, and moving is so just like cathartic, right? Like everything just purges out of the house. Mm-hmm. But what's left behind is all the dust bunnies in the corner and all the cobwebs and all the spills.
And you just packed your broom on the moving truck, so you don't have that.
Yeah, and once your stuff is out, you're like, mission accomplished. And the last thing you want to do is like, all right, now let's clean this place that we no longer are ever going to see again. And we know, you know, and being able to have a cleaning service come behind and actually, you know, for $150 or, you know, whatever it is, come through and actually clean the floors and the oven. You know, clean that kind of stuff out. That to me is amazing.
It's the best gift of all. Seriously, you're so done. You know, you're toast. You
can't
do another thing.
Yeah.
So the ability to say you have a $500 up to $500 that can be used for cleaning services. You choose origin, destination, windows. You pick. But you can arrange something like that as well. And $500 in the scheme of things is not that much to really make a difference in the stress level that someone is feeling.
Yeah, for sure. This is awesome. We've got some amazing ideas. Can we check out some of these ideas that people have given us? Oh, this is fantastic. Mike, Philly, and this is also an opportunity for everybody to kind of like toot their own horn a little bit, right?
Okay, Mike, I'm calling you for that. That's a great add-on.
There you go. See, look at this. Look at this. He's offering concierge services, includes a car detail and flatbed delivery at destination. Flatbed is important because that means it's door to door versus going to a terminal, which is usually not in the best part of town. It's usually, kind of dirty, dusty.
And
yeah, that's awesome. For sure. Vinny Valverde says these white gloves should be offered to everybody and not just the executives. I'm talking about the little things. For example, corporate housing companies to understand who the guests are and to cater to them. Decorating the rooms for children. Local basket of goods, which Jill talked about. Handwritten notes. I can just go on and on. Well, please do, Vinny.
Vinny, you and I are on the same page. I agree. It's for everybody. The family that has 3 little kids and the spouse is already in the new location and one's been left behind. Those are the ones that need the real taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. This is great. Hit like on all these comments that you like out there. You kind of can vote with your appreciation there. Richard says attention to culture as well, perhaps numbers and colors.
Yes. Good tip. Yep.
I'll be honest, that is something that would never cross my mind. And it's so
I have looked into
true.
colors for different cultures when I want to send flowers. And it's so interesting. Super interesting.
Give me an example. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, in certain cultures in India, when you're sending mourning flowers, for sympathy, there's certain colors you would stay away from that you would think you normally would utilize. And conversely, you're celebrating something else, and you might think white is so beautiful, but it might mean mourning in their culture.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you have no idea for sure. How much attention would be given to cultural background, Middle East, China, Japan, UK? Great question, Jill. I mean, how do we take that into consideration when choosing what little touches we add?
Yeah, right now it's on a case-by-case basis. So it's really something that should be put into an internal process to make sure it's being addressed. It's great.
Yeah, it's almost like in order to really nail this kind of stuff, I mean, to be personal with it, we almost need to understand these things. And I don't know that we're really necessarily collecting this information in a way that we can then pass it along. Is it even appropriate to collect some of this information? Cultures, religions, things like that.
And we might not know the exact culture and religion, but we might be able to, garner some information from where they're moving from or to, or make it subject to where they're moving into to help them, welcome them to the new area, maybe with something cultural for where they will be living is one way to look at it. But I don't think it's done enough. It is important to make it personal, though. It's super huge. Like, you're not going to order auto detailing for someone who doesn't have a car. They'll obviously tell you didn't listen to anything that they had said to you.
Right. Well, even sending beef jerky to a vegan or alcohol to someone who's Muslim, or something like that, right? Jack Jampel, hi, Jill and Ben. Jack, I'd love to know, what is the most wow thing you've seen done? What is a wow touch that you've seen, Jack? Jamie says, we offer airport pickup and transport internationally in most locations. This really goes a long way for a tired traveling employee.
It really, especially globally, if you can fast track someone through customs and security and baggage claim, that's huge.
Yeah, seriously, that's a great one. Yeah, if I got to a foreign airport, I'd be a little overwhelmed, especially if I wasn't in my language. How do I get to the hotel? For sure.
You're, like you said, exhausted.
Gabriel Brown, Destination Services is always a great thing and helps get the customer and family acclimated with the area. Have someone show them where the local grocery store, entertainment, fun spots, etc. It gets them excited about the move and happy they made the decision. Maybe a gift card or ticket to a local event. Work with your local realtor.
Those local realtors are a great resource. Awesome.
Let's see here. This is great. Oh my gosh, we have some really cool. Aaron says, don't send mums in France. They're only used for funerals.
See, that's what you have to know.
I would never think chrysanthemums, right? Okay, sure. Why not? Add a few mums in there with a few other things. Great point. Darlene, always personally connect with the guest before the move and listen to the one thing that stands out. Example, I had a guest that had a pet on the request. When I spoke to her, she mentioned the puppy had passed away that weekend and was no longer with the family. I sent her a personal sympathy card. That just little gesture made a world of difference to her. There's no right answer because what makes you different is personalize each guest according. Imagine, though, also if she hadn't listened. And
you had a dog bed in there and treats and a list of dog parks would be just horrible.
Traumatic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. So how do we, I'd love to know, you got such great experience, Jill. What is your suggestion on how to, from maybe a consultant level, take this information in and then disperse this to the service provider so they can actually use it?
Mm-hmm. And you have to be careful how you disperse personal information as well. So you have some real constraints there. But our consultants, our counselors, account managers are so adept at listening. And unfortunately, and fortunately both, it can take so much time on a call. They become the true counselors. They're hearing about everything in their lives. And the good ones, they are on the phone so much. They're not just emailing back and forth. They might spend an hour talking to someone about their kid's first day of school coming up and how nervous everyone is, or hearing about a pet that passed away. It has to be some very intentional listening that happens, and then knowing what you can pass on and what you can't, because in today's world of PII, you can't start passing around tidbits of people's family life without their permission. So you have to be careful about that, and you have to be very intuitive. But you can garner a lot of personal information on what's important to someone just by listening in a conversation, just as Darlene did in this example. I mean, with the pet, she'd been listening and had a conversation and picked up on it, and that's what you've got to be able to do.
Yeah, that's great stuff here. Michelle says coloring books are small toys for children. Mm-hmm. Yep, classic one.
Having something there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always thought this was kind of cheesy, honestly, until I had kids, and then I know why every time you go to a restaurant, they say, "Oh, would you like the kids menu?" And you know what the kids menu is? It's actually just to connect the dots on the back. Mm-hmm. It's okay, you got chicken fingers on this side, and then you got about 30 minutes worth of puzzles on the other side.
I know, my husband loves those. He always wants the kids menu so he can play the games.
I do too. I color too. That's so funny. Let's see here. Richard says from Team Reload Today, don't be afraid to ask. What would make life easier for you? People are happy to tell you and make a small ask that will make their life easier.
Yeah.
It's great, Richard. Mm-hmm. Jamie says we offer translated manuals on how to operate the appliances in the apartment. This is not often thought of until the assignee goes to use as a washing machine or dishwasher, and it's in Japanese or French, or maybe they've never even seen a dishwasher before.
Or the kind of washer and dryer that they find in Europe, and all those kinds of things.
Right. Alan King says, Vinny Valvergi, totally agree. We had a client who had a budget for an Audi Q5. His young daughter wanted her dad to get an Audi R8. The Q5 was delivered, and we put a toy Audi R8 and personal note in the Q5 for the client's daughter. That's cute. That's funny. Here you go. Sweet Home provides meet and greet services around the neighborhood nearby, help transfer you feel more comfortable in a new location, especially if you point out your own favorite restaurants and places to make it more personal.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. We forget about the old days of meet and greets because, for the last year, we haven't done it so much. On top of that, though, because of the last year, we have so much more strength in virtual situations where you can use a virtual tour, virtual destination service. I don't think it takes the place of in person, but they've really come a long way in making someone feel like they're experiencing it. And especially if they have a contact or someone they can talk to along with that virtual experience. It can definitely be used for a lot of different ways. Yeah,
for sure. Bogdan says, I always offer welcome packages for inbound small items, but definitely making a difference for the transfer. Yeah, who doesn't like getting a little present, right?
Yeah, this whole thing is everybody agrees, I think, that it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just the fact that you took time to know their situation, know what makes a difference, and find a way to make some little difference with that. There are more expensive things out there too that can make a difference as well. We've seen household goods on-site move managers, for those, unfortunately, this isn't going to be available for your $5,000 or $10,000 budget move, but for your executives to have someone on site throughout the packing. So you're the liaison with the moving crews, and you can take that away from the family having to be there the whole time, watching diligently, making sure everything's happening, and then also being there upon delivery and maybe working in conjunction with the organization service or unpacking. That's
so interesting.
Yeah. Days of travel.
Is there a way to do that remotely is there a way to do that virtually where maybe and I'm just thinking kind of outside, like, here we are, because you talk about, you can't do that necessarily for every budget. I mean, usually that's reserved for executives, right? Where you go on site and then of course you fly to destination. I mean, that's a costly endeavor, and it's usually kind of a mid senior kind of person, right? Account manager person, and so it's not cheap to do that for people. Is there a way that we can execute that virtually, using some sort of video technology, or even sourcing it to a concierge locally to come hang out and
I would love to. If anybody has utilized that kind of local concierge, I could see working. The video might be more time consuming to have someone. You'd have to have cameras around a house, which might be intrusive from a privacy standpoint. But I would love to hear if anyone's figured out a virtual aspect to that, or that local concierge. The thing is, you'd want to make sure they had the ability to pick up the red hotline phone and get a hold of whoever's needed if something is going awry, because that's the whole point of having them there, is someone who can make a difference and make decisions.
Yeah, for sure. Super interesting. Yeah. Let's see here. We got some other ideas. Cover Clear enrollment free. Michelle says, I don't know what Cover Clear is.
That.
What's that?
That's the security at the airport that you get through the quick line. You have TSA pre-check, but then you have Clear, and Clear is the one without the long line anymore. TSA pre-check can be kind of long these days, but Clear, I think you can do on the spot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Jack says, if you're not already doing this, make sure your corporate clients are aware that you're providing such great extras.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, be your own advocate there.
We're doing this altruistically because we do care about people, but we do want our clients to know we care as well.
Well, and to your point initially, right, this is their employment brand. Right. And so what we're trying to do is create amazing employee experiences for them, so that they have that employment brand, and people go on Glassdoor and people refer their, coworkers from previous jobs, to come over and work there because of the way that they're treated and how valued they feel in the relocation process.
The importance of the relocation counselor cannot be underrated. They're the first blush most often with a new hire in this corporation. They've talked to the recruiter, they've been hired, and the next thing they get is their relocation counselor. And that person's going to really make or break how they feel about the company they just signed on with. And so it's so important that first blush is one that's so professional, but also so caring.
Yeah. That's
and matches the culture of the company, most importantly.
So what other tips or white glove services would you recommend that we try to incorporate here?
Yeah. So the way we've been doing it right now is we work with our clients and ask if they would like us to incorporate a white glove service. A couple of them have given very specific, I want you to do X for everybody. But what we typically ask, would you be willing to give us a sum of money, whether it's $250 or $500, that we utilize at our discretion for each employee based on their personal needs and experience. And then we take care of that without and then just notify the client, this is what we did for this person. This is what we did for this person. And it might be different, but either way works. But we're finding those two avenues are the most successful.
So it's a conversation that says, hey, do you want to put a little extra wow on this? Mm-hmm. What's your budget?
Yeah.
And so then they give you a budget, and then you kind of create an experience for that employee. That's what we prefer.
Yeah. But we do have some that'll just say, just order pizza for the household goods delivery, so they can't leave the house. They don't know where to go. And that's fine too. The biggest thing we have to be careful of is some of these things can backfire, and you're trying so hard to be go one up on the to the next level, and suddenly you move back 5 steps because the pizza was cold or it wasn't the gluten-free crust they thought they ordered. So many things can go wrong, and that is a risk, but there's no reward without risk, and we hope that those things are rare, but it's always a risk. Especially
you order a pizza for someone, gluten-free, or it doesn't have the cauliflower crust, or the or they can't eat cheese, is lactose intolerant or something like that. I mean, that fear is there, and I think
always going to be there.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking, I think it kind of speaks to the mindset of the service provider. Mm-hmm. Some people are abundance mindset people, and some people are scarcity mindset. Some people are risk averse. Hey, let's just let's just get through this thing and get paid and get on to the next one, right? And then some people are like, how do I just go above and beyond? I think our industry, fortunately, is filled with a lot of people who want to go above and beyond.
Yeah, you know, I have to say,
yeah. No, go
some
ahead.
people are moving on the weekend, and if you're going to order pizza, it's going to have to be Saturday at 5:00. And so we have to put processes in place like that because, you know, it has to be ordered at the right time in order for it to get there at the right time. So this definitely puts a lot of extra onus on us as service providers to be that much more service oriented. And, you know, it can get tricky and challenging, and you might feel like you're asking a lot of somebody, but it's really what sets you apart.
Sure. What about utilities?
Yep.
Is that an area?
You know, we do have options for utilities set up. There's a couple of concierge service companies that will even set up utilities for people, and we can pass those names on to them. And that works out great. There's a few situations that make it a little dicey. You know, if you're waiting for the cable company and you need to run cable into another room and it's not where you thought it was, you kind of have to have a decision maker available on the spot. So some things work better than others, but the utility set up through Concierge Services is definitely there. You know, or just even researching the various different options you have for cable and internet and that sort of thing. Just at least doing the research so they know the price, what's available in their area. Like here in my area, Phoenix, we don't have a lot of choices. There's some really cool ones that are available in the next town that have some awesome high-speed internet options, but they're not here, and I didn't know who to even look for other than just your typical Cox internet.
Who's the best person to help with that? Because I almost think, to your point, it's kind of a localized thing, right? Who the best internet provider is, who the best cable provider is. You know, I think about here in Texas, we have deregulated energy. You know, and it wasn't until after I moved in 3 months afterwards, my cousin said, who's your energy with? And I'm like, I don't know. Whoever was the last person had it with is who it is with, you know. And turns out there's like 50 different energy companies, and you can kind of play with it to see what your kilowatt hour is going to cost you and everything. You can end up saving yourself, you know, a couple $100. But that's something I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, we really rely on realtors for that local utility information. They tend to have the most robust information and are happy to share it as well.
Is that something that renters have the ability to tap into? I mean, what type of rental support do you see out there? Because that's a market that some people say is underserved in relocation.
It is underserved. You know, we really push rental assistance. You know, your research and guided tours, pay for service, not rely on a local realtor to do you a favor. You know, hoping they'll turn into a buyer somewhere down the road. That used to be the way everyone kind of looked at rentals, but we really need those leasing consultants, those realtors who want to help renters and who will get paid for the time they're spending on it. That's pretty critical. You know, they're not a non-for-profit. You know, they're looking to make an income and make a living to support their own families. And if we are paying for that service, we tend to be able to get the kind of support you need, like utility help. You know, there's a couple different, I mean, I don't want to call out too many names, but we have some great rental solution suppliers out there that are very much part of the high service, high touch protocols.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's a great point about getting paid for their time. I mean, I know when I was, you know, looking for a rental house here in Texas, you know, it's such a hot market. Realtors are so busy putting 30 offers on different houses, right? And that nobody wants to take a rental. Plus, they're making, you know, 2 to 3% on a home transaction. Yeah, and they're like struggling.
$200,
yeah. What are they going to even make on a rental house? I mean, it's pretty crazy. And then Darlene weighs in here. Rents have skyrocketed due to demand in the market. With that demand, properties are not as willing to do short 3-month leases. So that is also extra cost. We're not having to add rolled rents with low budgets.
Yeah. You really have to make sure, once again, setting proper expectations is so important so people know what to expect.
This is great. This is a great conversation here, Veronica. In the UK, charity shops are a useful way to reduce furniture in the move. No cost for the removal from your home. Excellent. You know, I think we think that it's always, you know, no cost. I remember trying to give away a futon once upon a time, a nice futon, trying to give away some other stuff. And, you know, the Salvation Army came out with, you know, the two guys in the straight truck, And they're like, yeah, not interested. Like they come see the furniture. They're like, not interested.
No, we don't want it.
Yeah, not interested. And then they said, well, listen, I'm out here for $150. We'll haul it off for you.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, are you guys like charging me to do your job, or are you really not interested? Is this going to end up in the thrift shop and you're going to charge me to take it away?
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting.
That would make you feel kind of icky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got companies like 1-800-JUNK, the removal company, and they'll take care of everything for you. It's great service, but at a very high cost. So you just have to know what you want to do. What is your intent? What's your end game?
Look at Martin Mayotte. Jill is the best. The Marty party. Hey, let's see here. Carrie, Wiki Sticks at the restaurant for the kids and the adults. What's a Wiki Stick?
Can I put it in a cocktail? Because then I'm interested.
Is it a mozzarella stick? Is it a what is it? This is great. James.
Is it like pickup sticks?
I don't know. James
Hey,
Bilderberg.
James, I haven't seen you in ages. Hi.
Look at that. Great to see you, Jill. You have a world of knowledge. Awesome. This has been great, but let's have a little fun. You want to do a little top 5 action, Jill?
Sure. I was going to do the top 5 Mai Tais, but then I couldn't narrow it down, so we had to go with something else.
That would have been a fun one, but what did you choose instead?
Well, the top 5 things that have kept me in the mobility industry for 34 years. I try to stop at 20, 25 years and just leave it there, but I thought for you all, I'd give you the true age.
Wow. Full transparency here. And just, I mean, spoiler, are the top 5 things all different kinds of Mai Tais?
Well, all of them had to have a Mai Tai at some point. Now, you've all been in this industry long enough to know that some days require them.
Let's see here. What's number 5?
Continuous learning. I tell my team all the time that I learn something new almost every day, but definitely every week. I mean, something I haven't come across before. And people are always so surprised. You've done the same thing for all these years. How could there possibly be anything else? But there is.
That's so cool.
It's crazy. I
That's
gotta move
cool.
goats.
34 years in the business and you're still learning something every day.
Yeah.
You can't say, I mean, I don't think most jobs could say that.
I don't think so either. That's what keeps it interesting.
That's awesome. What's number 4?
Well, the people like you, Ben, the feeling of family, all those people out there. I mean, I started my career at Home Equity in Walnut Creek, California, which then became PHH, and we moved our office to Concord, and it went from there. And I still see some of that team at a conference and, just pick up where we left off in 1987. Hopefully our hair has changed and our clothes maybe, but everything comes back. So, but it's that feeling of family, just everyone's there for each other and just can't wait to see each other again.
Yeah.
Really, and sometimes you can't even say that about your family.
No, you can't. No, well, you choose your friends, right? I mean, that's the difference. I can't wait. I can't wait to give big old hugs and see folks this fall.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Let's see here. What's number 3?
Problem solving, because this job requires a lot of it. And you can't shy away from it. You've got to figure it out, and it can't be the same old solution every time. I recently heard of a certification in problem solving, and I'm seriously looking into that. I think that would be incredible. Get a little mini degree in problem solving 101 and 201 and 401.
That's awesome. I feel like that's just like a whole lot of escape rooms. I feel like they just
yeah, that would be good practice.
There should be a relocation escape room. That would be
That
fun.
is a brilliant idea. That's one of your best, Ben.
It might be.
And sometimes you're like, I can't get out. I can't get my delivery.
Yeah, it's called your cubicle. It's called the relocation consultant's cubicle. In the summertime, you're like, how the hell do I get out of here and go home?
Where's the key? They locked me in.
The phone won't stop ringing. How do I get out of here? Yeah. What's number 2?
Travel, and obviously it hasn't happened near enough over the past year, and that's what makes you value it even more. When you're traveling all the time, you can start to get tired of it and wish that you were at home a little bit more. But then when you don't have it, you start to really miss it. And this industry and my position allows a great deal of travel. My husband and I both traveled a ton before, and so much so that to see each other, sometimes we would just plan a layover at the same airport so we could have lunch in the airport and then get on our respective flights and head on. So looking forward to travel. And to me too, we just did Sandy's mentoring sessions, her information on mentoring. And when I was thinking about travel, when I was young and at Home Equity, I was able to travel and see my clients pretty early on and go to conferences. And that really tied me to the industry, because you did meet all those people that felt like family then, and you learned so much. And I think travel is a critical part to be able to travel some.
I agree. And I hope that people continue to invest in travel for their employees, because I think it does make you it makes you a better employee. I think it also makes you more connected and engaged. Once you get the opportunity to go to an ERC or start going and meeting your clients, and those clients, and those partners become friends and family, I think that's when you get the bug. That's when you're really hooked, I think. Yeah.
I had client contacts that I was invited to their weddings and, all sorts of things that you become very close. But it happens, of course, naturally when you're on the phone, or now that we're on so many video calls, but not quite as much as when you meet them in person.
So true. So true.
I should have had you here, Ben, but you don't really want to come to Arizona in the summer. So, and I didn't have a boat like Jack's, and, there's so many things that are missing.
Oh goodness, that's great. That's so.
I didn't have any water like Jack's either, for that matter.
That's great. That's great. Veronica's saying charity shops in the UK will accept furniture only if it has a specific fire rating to avoid furniture with high risk.
Good
point. Interesting. Carrie's going to send us a link. Carrie, throw it in the comments. Everybody needs
Wiki Sticks.
A Wiki Stick. Oh, yes, yeah. Let's do
it. You bring them to me in September, Carrie.
Bring them. Darlene says a teacher is always a student.
I love that. I love that. And my previous career was teaching before I got in here. So I love that.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Jill, the number one reason you have stayed in mobility for 34 years.
Yeah, what is it? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Out of the box thinking is a positive thing. You have to have out of the box thinking. You came up with so many out of the box ideas just today, Ben. And we all need that. We need more of it. And it's how it's going to keep global mobility and relocation an industry. We're going to need more and more out of the box thinking to keep us a viable and growing part of the world.
My tip for out of the box thinking is the right balance of alcohol and thinking caps. So there you go.
And buckets of beer.
Buckets of beer. There you go. I cannot wait to see you, Jill, soon. This has been so much fun seeing you again, reconnecting, going through these tips and tricks. People have loved this conversation. Look at this. Jamie saying, it's been an amazing conversation. Thank you, Jill. That's great.
Thanks for everyone's input. Once again, learning every day. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Somebody send Jill some Wiki Sticks there.
I'll see Carrie in September, so we'll work it out.
This is great. Jill, before we go today, do you want to leave us with maybe a final thought, something we should be thinking about?
Final thought. Don't consider a budgeted move the pain that it kind of is, Just understand that there's reasons for budget caps. We don't always know them. We don't know why a program ended up the way it is, or how hard it was to even get as far as we did with that budget. But just to embrace it as at least the company's given them something, and do the best we can with it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. Basically empathize with people. We don't know what they're going through in personal life or professionally, right? Mm-hmm. So that's great. That's great advice, Jill. Jill, thanks again for being here. Appreciate it so much. Thanks, and thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Also, hit that like button, throw a little love out there to Arizona there for Jill. And can't wait to see y'all next week. We appreciate you.